LFL football arrives to the Twin Cities as Kerry Janes and the Minnesota Valkyrie host Heather Rockstar Furr and the Chicago Bliss. Next on LFL Saturday Night Football.
You are looking live at Minneapolis, Minnesota, site of LFL Saturday Night Football. Hello, LFL fans. This is Mitch Mortaza alongside Bobby Huco. We are here at the Target Center, a place that this Minnesota Valkyrie team has desperately been trying to get to, having started the season on the road with a record of 0-2. Do they have any chance tonight, Bobby Huco, against a loaded Chicago Bliss roster?
Mitch, I don't think so. This roster just lacks the horses right now. The only bright spot all year has been rookie quarterback Kerry Janes. She's got a great arm, she's got great feet, she's overall just a great playmaker at the quarterback position.
And for Chicago, it all begins and ends with Heather Furr. She struggled last year, she just didn't have the tools around her. This year, she's got a number of them. Christelle Harris in the backfield, arguably the most explosive running back in our game. Then on the outside, you have Allie Alberts, an emerging wide receiver. And then finally, Keith Hack is back, from the 2009 season and has the type of physical roster that he really looks for.
Absolutely, Mitch. I coached against Keith Hack twice when I was coaching the Miami Caliente, and he had small teams. He finally has a big physical team. I think he gets it done tonight.
We will see here under the bright lights of LFL Saturday Night Football. Kickoff is next.
Back to the Target Center in Minneapolis, Minnesota. What a great Midwestern divisional battle tonight. The Minnesota Valkyrie coming in at 0-2. The Chicago Bliss at 1-1 with their fate still very much so in their own hands. But Bobby, talk to us about Minnesota. How big of a game is this with their home opener for the 13 season being down 0-2 on the season already?
Mitch, is a huge game for him. And 0-2, like you said, not a good start of the year, but they don't have the talent. They don't have the talent like Chicago does. On paper, this is a mismatch, but games are played on the field. There's been some huge upsets in the LFL this year. Let's see if Minnesota can do one tonight.
There's Christelle Harris with the deep kick. Catherine Johnson for Minnesota will bring it out. Manages to get out to about the 13-yard line, where we'll get our first look at this Minnesota offense.
Kelly Gillespie, the center. Christina Kelly, guard. Brittany Austin, guard. Catherine Johnson, wide receiver. Dominique Schuler, wide receiver. Lee Sebastian, running back. Kerry Janes, quarterback.
Mitch, somebody tonight has to step up and help out Kerry Janes. Hopefully it's going to be Maria Rye, the running back, but she needs help to have any shot against Chicago.
1st and 10 at the 13. Janes looking for a quick pass. Back to Janes across the field. She's still running. Good 18-yard pass completion to Kerry Janes from Dominique Schuler.
Great call by Coach Benson Minetto. On the first play of the game, a double pass back to their number one athlete, Kerry Janes. She almost breaks it. These are type plays, Mitch, he has to do tonight to have any shot against the Chicago Bliss.
There's a look at Janes's number on the season. Not very impressive, but once again, as you said, she is a pure athlete, can beat you with her arm or her legs. She just does not have the horses around her, as we've talked about all during the pregame. As Janes comes under center at the 19, it'll be 1st and 10 for the Minnesota Valkyrie. Quick handoff to Dominique Schuler and met right at the line. Yashi Rice, a longtime veteran defensive end for Chicago.
They cannot block her. They have to double team her tonight. Yashi, incredible Rice. Simeon Rice's sister comes off the edge, incredible, like her brother did. And that was a great play. Nobody blocked her. Big play. They're going to have to do more deception, Mitch.
Absolutely. Yashi Rice, usually one of the sack leaders for the league, has struggled a bit this year, but can always be counted on as a veteran leader in the locker room. And on the field, she's also great against the run. As Carrie Janes comes to the line, 2nd and 11 now from the Chicago 20. Janes back, still looking plenty of time in the pocket. Now breaks that pocket. Heading to the sideline. Decent little 6-yard run by Carrie Janes. Once again on the stop, Yashi Rice. And Bobby, we actually sat down earlier in the day with one Carrie Janes talking about this young Minnesota Valkyrie.
We're a young team, and honestly it takes time to build that chemistry, but we're starting to mesh together now, and we're going to turn it around tonight and put some points on the board.
Mitch, you're right. She's developed, but her team's not. It's going to take time, might take a year or so for Minnesota to really develop as a team and really have an effect on the LFL.
Now Minnesota on the Chicago side of the field at the 14. Great field position. That handoff goes to Katrina Stewart. Up the middle, nothing doing. Heather Furr coming up, a little extracurricular here. And I'll tell you one thing, that is one thing Chicago is known for. They are not going to back down, especially that young lady, one Miss Heather Furr.
Oh, they're fighters, Mitch, no question. And you see what they're doing in their secondary. Heather Furr is on paper a strong safety, but they don't have a too deep look. She actually comes in the middle and becomes actually a second middle linebacker, which will hopefully stop Minnesota's running attack, because their passing attack right now is not that good.
Yeah, they tend to use Furr a little bit in that rover role from time to time. Now it's 4th and 3 from the Chicago 12. Big down early in this game. The handoff once again to Stewart. Stewart trying for the first down. It appears she might have it. Yep, she went for about 5 yards on that, so a huge pickup for this very young franchise and their home opener. They really need to get some points on the board here.
Mitch, this is a great opening drive. I did not expect this. Chicago, I thought, was going to dominate this game. And right now, Carrie Janes is doing a great job. And Katrina Stewart right there getting the first down on 3rd and 5. They're looking good.
I think what's key for these young quarterbacks that we're seeing this year in the LFL is give them a ground game. And Katrina Stewart early is having some success. Now 1st and goal. As another handoff, it looks like, to Katrina Stewart as well. That goes for about 4 yards. Kim Perez there on the stop.
Katrina Stewart's looking good right now, Mitch. If she would have kept that inside, she bounced it outside and got caught. She had great blocking inside. If she would have cut it inside, she might have gone in the end zone.
Absolutely. Head coach Benson Meneno willing to try anything to get that first win of the year. Here's Janes again. 2nd and goal from the Chicago 3 now. Back to pass, breaking outside the pocket, and just has to throw that one away. There is Yashi Rice, the aforementioned. She doesn't get the sack there, but that all-important quarterback hurry.
That was a veteran play right there, Mitch. A rookie quarterback sometimes, especially with her ability, you'd think she'd try to scramble around more and maybe get sacked for a loss like that. She saw she was in trouble, fired it up in the stands. A really heads-up play by Carrie Janes.
Live to fight another down. 3rd and goal, once again at the Chicago 3. Katrina Stewart in motion. Little shovel pass inside. That doesn't go for much to Brittany Austin.
I like the play selection, but I think they went to the wrong side. They had the motion, which draws the secondary over. If they would have came back left, I think they spread the secondary out, but they ran in right to where they brought the motion, and Chicago had them. Big play right now.
This is it, 4th and goal. And as we all know in the LFL, there's no punting, there are no field goals. It is 4-down territory.
I am really surprised they're taking it right down the field like this.
This has been an impressive opening drive for the young Carrie Janes, who now breaks the pocket again, looking for a crease, getting outside, getting about to the 1, and she's going to be short. Heather Furr and the rookie Allie Alberts converge there. Chicago's defense definitely bent there, but did not break as we have 1:51. We're going to break. There's a good look at Carrie Janes with an impressive opening drive. We return to Minneapolis, and there's a look at Heather Furr. Actually sat down with her earlier today to talk about this now complete Chicago offense.
Having a complete offense this year is something so different than in past seasons. I mean, I have Allie, Sticks, Christelle, and then I have the option to run also. I get to pick apart defenses and have a little bit more fun.
For Chicago, it's always been Heather Furr and Ferrari Harris, and that's it. She has so many weapons this year. She has Allie Alberts, Sticks Peterson, Deanna Fagiano. They look good this year, Mitch.
Absolutely, Bobby, and that is part of that complete attack. Christelle Ferrari Harris gets it out to about the 8-yard line, but we do have a flag. It looks like this is coming back. Appears to be a hold on Chicago. Here's the official call. That's a big penalty because it takes him half the distance and buries Chicago further back. This would be huge for Minnesota. Get a stop, give your offense incredible field position, obviously.
So far, an outstanding start for Minnesota. I was never going to call a game like this where I thought Chicago, seriously, Mitch, was going to come in and dominate this game. Right now, Minnesota playing at home, their first home game, they look great.
It's 1st and 10 from the 1. Christelle finds a little bit of breathing room. Gets it out to about the 6-yard line, where it'll be about 2nd and 4.
Ferrari Harris, she is so quick in a confined space. There's nothing there, Mitch, and she finds 6 yards out of nothing. That's why she's one of the most dominating backs in the LFL.
Great option to have the Ferrari, keep her in the garage all week and bring her out on game nights. She lines up now behind Furr. At least see it's 2nd and 4 here for Chicago. Here comes Furr, little pitch out to Harris. Harris gets slammed against the wall. That's Dominique Schuler. And we got her wired up tonight. Let's listen in.
That is LFL football at its best. Dominique Schuler coming from the safety position. What a hit. That's what Minnesota needs tonight. Her to step up because right now their defense is ranked number 10 in the league, which is not good, but they're playing great so far.
Big hit by that rookie safety, Dominique Schuler, but it did yield a first down for Chicago as we near the end of the first quarter. Furr looking for Allie Alberts, her favorite target at wide receiver, the emerging rookie, as the first quarter comes to an end here.
That's why Allie Alberts might be the rookie of the year. She ran a 5-yard stop, read the linebacker blitz, and went around the strong safety and gave Furr a great target to throw at.
There's the end of the first quarter. Big black and blue showdown here in the West. Back with second quarter action here in Minneapolis, and Chicago driving 2nd and 4. Quick handoff to Christelle Harris. Harris breaks one tackle, finds a seam, gets to the outside. Boy, is she a shifty runner, Bobby.
Shifty and strong. They brought a safety blitz right there, and they nailed her in the backfield. Should have been a big loss, but she is so strong. She keeps the legs moving, and she is so fast, as you mentioned. She makes a big gain out of absolutely nothing.
Absolutely, Bobby. A lot of people don't really know about Christelle Harris's power. They know about her explosion, her speed, but she has very strong lower body and fights through a lot of those arm tackles. 1st and 10 now. Heather Furr back to pass. Looks to the right, finds Christelle Harris, a quick screen pass. Not much doing there as Kelly Gillespie comes up and wraps up.
Gotta hand it to Minnesota secondary. They're jamming the receivers. That's what they have to do. Hit Allie Alberts before she has a chance to come off the line. But Heather Furr, years ago, she wouldn't do that. She would run. She stayed in the pocket. Everybody was covered. She checked down, went to Ferrari Harris, which was a great check down. You get the ball in Ferrari Harris's hands, there's no telling what could happen.
Good 4 yards on the loss there. Takes them back to the Minnesota 23, 2nd and 14. Furr with another option, decides to keep it herself. Now she's going to try to throw it. Can't find anybody and just throws it away. Great rush. Great rush by that interior, Brittany Austin.
Heather Furr showing why she's one of the best in the league and scrambling around. There was absolutely nothing there on the option. They shut it down. Minnesota again with a great defensive stop. She tried to pass the ball. Nobody was expecting to pass. That's why nobody was open. So Minnesota again, 3rd and 14's got a shot to stop Chicago, which would be huge right now, Mitch.
Great to see Heather Furr take command of that offense. We are at 3rd and 14 now. Minnesota 23. Inside handoff goes to Christelle Harris. Cannot find an opening. Leak play pay. The outstanding defensive end comes up to make that play.
Perfect defense by Minnesota. Leak play pay, one of the best defensive ends in the LFL. Was almost spying on Ferrari Harris. And Minnesota again, here we go, Mitch, 4th and 11. This is amazing how they might stop Chicago.
There's leak play pay. Trying to get this Minnesota crowd on their feet. As the noise now starts, 4th and 11 for Chicago. Fur back to pass, looking for Alberts here. Corner the end zone, and she's in. Just like that, Chicago on 4th and 11 finds Alberts in the corner of the end zone.
Another veteran move by Allie Alberts. She is playing like a 10-year veteran. It's a quick post. She goes behind Dominique Scholler. Scholler came up thinking it was going to be a quick post. She went around her in the corner of the end zone, and Heather Furr put it on the money for a Chicago score.
And Chicago looking to take advantage, but jumps off sides. Looks like they were attempting a 2-point conversion. Fall started, looked like Heather Furr was trying to hurry everybody to the line for some reason, and the left tackle was simply not set.
Mitch, how many times this year in the LFL have we seen mistakes on the conversion attempt?
An absolute momentum killer, Bobby. Now with that penalty, Chicago's backed up to the 8-yard line, still going for that 2-point conversion. Furr trying to make it happen herself. Back of the end zone, just overshoots Laura Peterson. Actually, check that, Allie Alberts. And Chicago will stay up 6-0.
Heather Furr trying to make something happen. That was a designed run. Minnesota shut it down, but Allie Alberts, being the athlete she was, she broke open in the end zone. Heather Furr just overthrew her.
Another look at Carrie Janes in this Minnesota offense from the 15 this time. Janes looking to make it happen herself there. Goes for about 5 yards. Allie Alberts on the stop.
Mitch, Carrie Janes can be one of the top quarterbacks, a franchise quarterback in this league. Benson Minnow has to bring in some talent around her for the offseason tryouts and help her out.
Yeah, no, she's got all the tools. If you talk to anybody, she definitely has the feet for this. As we said earlier, she's got the big arm. She just lacks the tools around her. 2nd and 5 with a little under 4:30 now. Looks this time Dominique Schuller's back. Trying the quarterback draw, just does not get there. Heather Furr up from that safety position.
Heather Furr having a great year. She got 8 tackles, 4 assists, 1 interception, and this is besides her being one of the top quarterbacks in the league. What an athlete she is.
Absolutely one of the best two-way players in this league, Heather Furr. And now you're looking at a Minnesota offense who's really been inept all season long. This is a drive that they really have to get some points on the board to keep pace with this Chicago offense. 3rd and 4. Carrie Janes once again immediately looks for the run. And that has been one of the complaints, Bobby, is that she doesn't really look for receivers. That might have been a design draw, but there really isn't a lot in the way of the passing game or not much effort to establish the passing game in Minnesota.
Absolutely, Mitch. They're going to have to revamp this entire offense. That was a quarterback draw. That was a design draw. But there's no deception. The whole Chicago defense knew that one player was going to get the ball, and that player was Carrie Janes. She's the only one that ever gets the ball.
Definitely moved the sticks for them with 1st and 10, but once again, you have to have a balanced offense in this league. Now Minnesota 1st and 10 from the 25. Janes back to pass, out to the left. That one goes to Katrina Stewart. Stewart goes for about 7.
Carrie Janes looked strong on that one. They came with a delayed safety blitz on Janes. She was about to get crushed, and she dumped it off in the flat. A veteran throw right there by Janes. Katrina Stewart from Minneapolis, Minnesota. She's one of the weapons that has to step up and help out Carrie Janes.
There's another look at Yashi Rice. Look for her to be in the backfield most of the night. Don't think she's not licking her chops going up against the rookie tonight, Bobby.
Absolutely.
2nd and 3 now. Janes, quick pass. This one goes to Dominique Schuler. Dominique trying to break tackles. Heather Perez, Heather Furr on that stop.
Mitch, even though that was a short tunnel screen with the lineman coming out to help, at least they're mixing it up a little bit. It's not Kerry James running right, running left, quarterback draws it. They're looking good right now. They had a good opening drive, but they need to get points on the board somehow.
Not sure Minnesota's going to get this next play off before the 2-minute stoppage, and there it is.
That's the 2-minute warning.
That will be our 2-minute warning. A look at Kerry James down 6 points when we return. Back to the Target Center with 2 minutes left in the second quarter and Minnesota driving. 1st and 10 from the Chicago 15 as Kerry James motions. Pitch out. This goes down to Katrina Stewart, their workhorse on this drive, and Stewart goes for about 4 on that one.
I like what Coach Benedetto's doing. He's experimenting with different people in the backfield. They're 0-2. They're trying to win tonight, obviously, but he's also looking for the future. Some of these players are known mainly as a defensive player, but they're intense. Let's see if they can do it on offense. And they're moving the ball while they're checking out new players.
I like the fact that they are spreading it around, making sure that Chicago does not ISO on Kerry James. 2nd and 5, 2nd and 6. The Chicago 11, James looks for the ball, shotgun. This is a design draw for James. James gets down all the way to the 2, fighting her way to the goal line, gets pushed back by Laura Peterson, but a good 8 yards on that run and a 1st down, 1st and goal for Minnesota.
Kerry James, she could be the RG3 of the LFL. The way she took off like that, in the pocket, bam, down to the 1 yard line, almost took it in.
As a Redskins fan, Bobby, that is a bit of a reach. There is no way Kerry James is RG3.
On that play, she looked like RG3.
1st and goal now. James eyeing that defense. Quick snap. Another inside handoff. This time it goes to Maria Rye, who pushes her way in. And there's Minnesota's first score.
Wow, another player who's intense. Coach Hack, he cannot believe it. He thought this was going to be a blowout. There is no smile on his face. Maria Rye, another defensive player. Watch this run. She cuts it back, pounds it into the end zone. Minnesota's back in the ball game.
Absolutely, Bobby. We are at a 6-6 notched up game here, and the crowd's loving it. And obviously, Coach Hack not happy with his defensive starters. As he mentioned, his starters are expected to actually play throughout this game, despite this game not having a lot of playoff ramifications for Chicago. There's the extra point attempt by Kerry James. There's the pitch out play to Katrina Stewart, not having a chance with Yashi Rice all over it.
Mitch, early this season, we saw Omaha knock off a heavily favored Jacksonville team. Could it happen again tonight? Right now, this crowd is electric. Minnesota is on fire. Coach Hack is beside himself, and we got a tie ball game.
Chicago is not careful here, despite this game not having playoff ramifications. It could be absolutely a confidence killer losing to Minnesota here. 1st and 10 from the 15, Fur back, shovel pass to Christelle Harris. Harris not going anywhere. Oh, and she loses the ball. Dominique Schuler picks up the fumble and turns it in. Score, touchdown for Minnesota.
Unbelievable, Mitch. This is crazy. Minnesota's got the lead right now. Unbelievable.
What a turn of events here if this call stands. Not sure if Christelle Harris was down here.
The ball comes out. She might have been down, though. Wow.
What a turn of events here. And as you would have expected, Coach Keith Hack has already challenged this touchdown, thinking that Christelle Harris's momentum was stopped and she was down.
Mitch, this is huge right now. This could turn the whole season around for Minnesota and Chicago. Right there, the ball, elbow is down right there. She's down.
Now, Bobby, the question is, was the ball coming out before the elbow hit?
Wow, that is close.
That is what I'm sure the official is looking at right now. Was that elbow down before the ball started coming loose?
This is such a crucial call. This is a game changer. This could make Minnesota's entire season if they get this call.
Let's listen in here to the official's ruling. Wow, what a turnaround there. Coach Keith Hack obviously loving the ruling.
Oh, he's proud of that call.
That is veteran experience right there. knowing that you have a challenge at your disposal. Usually when the call is that close, they'll stay with the call that was made on the field. Perhaps they saw something we did not see, Bobby.
Wow, this game you would think is being played in Chicago with that call. Wow, what a turn of events.
Chicago retains possession and Fur back to pass here, looking deep. Drops it off to Allie Alberts, it looks like. And Alberts goes for about 16 on that. The clock stops, more importantly, because she did go against the wall. A little bit of extracurricular activity after the play.
Katrina Stewart, she is such a fired up, tough player. She would have no social life if it wasn't for going back to the huddle, man.
Chicago now calling a timeout with 17 seconds left. And there's a look at Maria Rye, who notched this game up 6-6. Back to the second quarter here in Minneapolis with only 17 seconds, and Fur under center, drops back. Quick screen pass to Christelle Harris. Christelle breaks the tackle. Believe she touched against the wall there. Went for about 3 yards if the spot holds.
Again, that was close, Mitch. She did touch the wall, but she almost scooted in for 6 points. A great check down by Heather Fur. She looked downfield again. When you got Ferrari Harris swinging out of the backfield, that can be instant 6 points. She looks great tonight at quarterback.
This is big for this Minnesota defense, hoping to keep this game tied at the half. 2nd and 7, Fur back. Looking to create something. Throws over the middle, finds a wide open Christelle Harrison. The Ferrari scores. That was a 13-yard connection from Fur to Harris. Wide open, obviously a blown assignment there by Minnesota.
It looks like a busted play, but it's not. Heather Fur said that she scrambles around sometimes just to let Harris break out of the backfield, and that happened. They got 6 points out of it.
Obviously a back-breaking play for this Minnesota defense, hoping to stay in contention at least till halftime with this powerful Chicago team. Fur back to pass, looking for the extra point attempt to Christelle Harris. Aaron McDonald comes up on the big stop.
What a hit by Aaron McDonald. Read, react, and attack. A huge hit that stops them from getting the extra point.
Now with 3 seconds left, what do you do here, Bobby? Being backed up the way they are, do you just take a knee or do you take a shot here down the field?
We haven't seen the shots down the field, and I think it's a mistake. They should just take it to the house and go back by 6.
A little razzle-dazzle here. Whoa, that was a dangerous pass over the middle. That'll take us into the half as Chicago leads it 12-6. Back with halftime festivities after this.
And we are back to Minneapolis, Minnesota at the Target Center, Bobby. Chicago's up 12-6, and we talked about during the pregame festivities the importance of a veteran head coach in Keith Hack of the Chicago Bliss. Right before the half, he challenges this Minnesota score, and he gets the call overturned.
Mitch, that was a turning point of the first half. He threw the red flag against Minnesota, challenged the score, and got points off the board. It would have been a completely different game if he didn't do that. Great play by Hack.
And then we talked about these 2 quarterbacks. You've got a rookie in Carrie Janes, a veteran in Heather Fur, who fared better in the first half.
Chicago's Heather Fur was a staggering 7 out of 8 in the first half with 2 touchdown passes. And the rookie, Carrie Janes from Minnesota, held her own, 3 out of 4, but she simply doesn't have the blocking wide receivers or running backs like Fur has.
Now, outside of Carrie Janes, what is the key for this Minnesota Valkyrie squad to get back into this game in the second half?
Simple to say, but not easy to do. They have to shut down the LFL's most explosive running back, Ferrari Harris. She's having a great night. And offensively for Minnesota, anybody has to stand up and help out quarterback Carrie Janes.
This is a team in desperate need of an identity, the Minnesota Valkyrie. We're going to see if they find that the second half kickoff after this.
Back to second half action at the Target Center. Chicago loving this 6-point lead. Definitely a lot of work still to do for this squad. Bobby, let's take a look at the starting quarterbacks in the first half.
Heather Fur had an incredible first half, 7 out of 8 with 2 touchdowns. Carrie Janes held her own 3 out of 4, but no touchdown passes. Both look good though, Mitch.
There's a look at Dina Fagiano and the Minnesota Valkyrie lining up here. This is going to come down to one half of football from Minnesota. You go 0-3, in essence, your season is done.
Mitch, they're only down by 1 score, but if you remember the opening drive, they took it inside the 5-yard line and couldn't get it, and that could have been the key series of the game.
They are definitely matching up well with Chicago, and there's the opening kickoff. It hits the board, and by LFL rules, Chicago will take over from the 15.
Mitch, you know Keith Hack cannot be happy with a 6-point lead over Minnesota. He really thought they were going to come in and destroy this team. Right now, they're in a game. Let's see if Heather Furr can come up with a key drive to open the second half.
This is a veteran quarterback, as we saw in the first half, having a career season in the LFL. 1st and 10, bad snap there. Dominique Collins with the recovery in the backfield. Salvages what looks to be almost a 10-yard run out of that busted play.
Keith Hack is beside himself right now. D. Silvestro with a bad snap. Like you said, Dominique comes up with a great save here. That could have been a big turnover for Minnesota, but Dominique Collins comes up to make positive yardage out of it. Great heads-up play.
That is the mark of a veteran team. How many times have we seen this season, Bobby Huco, when the ball sails over the head, everything collapses? And there's Heather Furr back to pass, quick out. That looks like to be Allie Alberts. Alberts breaking tackles all the way to the end zone. A 25-yard connection from Furr to Alberts, their second one on the night.
Heather Furr, what a read right here. They had a blitz. Nobody covers Allie Alberts. She makes a great cut right there, takes it all the way across the field for 6 points. What a play by Furr, and another great play by maybe the Rookie of the Year, Allie Alberts.
What an impressive wide receiver, number 1 for Chicago. And definitely a favorite target of one Miss Heather Furr. Here's the 1-point conversion for Chicago, and Christelle Harris takes it in to widen the gap. 19-6 now for Chicago.
Heather Furr, she doesn't only win on emotion, she wins on execution. What a read right there. Coach Hack, he's got to be happy with everything except that snap by D. Silvestro, but Heather Furr is doing what she does, makes explosive plays out of nothing.
And now a crucial drive for this Minnesota offense, down 19-6. They could not afford to fall back behind too much against this Chicago team. Inside snap that looked to be fumbled for a second by Maria Rye. She manages about a yard out of it. Just sloppy play.
Great heads-up play, though. She's a former defensive player, great intense defensive player. As I mentioned, Coach Spinello is trying to put her at running back, get her some experience back there. She made a great heads-up play to pick it up and make positive yards.
And that is exactly the difference between Minnesota and Chicago. No offense, but you have Maria Rye as your starting running back. And then you have Christelle the Ferrari Harris for Chicago. That is the difference in this ballgame.
No, you're absolutely right, Mitch. And that's why Coach Beneno, he's got to come up with some talent this year.
2nd and 9. Carrie Janes takes it herself, as she's done most of the night, out to about midfield.
She is such a talent. I cannot wait to see her develop, not only as a runner, but as an overall quarterback. Look, she is so composed compared to that first game. Like you mentioned, she needs a running back behind her and a couple good receivers, and she can be as good as Heather Furr.
That was enough to move the sticks and give Minnesota a 1st and 10 from the 25. And more importantly, another shot at coming within striking distance of the Chicago team. Now 1st and 10 from midfield as Carrie Janes eyes the defense. Back in the pocket collapsing around her, trying to make something happen. Gets back to the line of scrimmage, absolutely no gain as Furr comes up.
Watch how quick Heather Furr is coming from the safety position. For 1 second there, it looked like Carrie James was going to break a big gainer. She got by the initial blitz. Out of nowhere, Heather Furr closed the gap and made a big hit on James.
And there's Chantel Taylor. That front line, including Furr in the backfield, is really coming on for that Chicago team. 2nd and 10 now from midfield for Janes and company. Back in the shotgun, Janes looking for options, nothing there. Now taken off again. And Chantel Taylor slams her down to the ground, causing a fumble, but it looks like Janes recovers.
Chantel Taylor, solid year, 4 tackles, 4 solos, and 1 sack. Watch her technique, the old spy technique. Anywhere Carrie James goes, she goes. Watch, she drops off. There she is right there, eye to eye, looking at the QB. She's crossing the field. Now watch the speed. Like a cheetah, she nails James for a loss. And that was a fumble, Mitch. It should have been on the field. They called it differently.
Not sure why Minnesota didn't look at a challenger, or rather Chicago didn't look at a challenge there. Now 3rd and 16, Carrie Janes in Minnesota from the Minnesota 19. Look for Chantel Taylor and Yashi Rice to pin their ears back now. Janes back to pass from the shotgun, looking deep over the top. And look at that, Laura Peterson with the big interception. Wow, what an interception over her shoulder. Very impressive for the second-year corner.
Super catch by Sticks Peterson, but the problem right there was the rookie quarterback. We've been giving her props all night, but right here, she did not look off the secondary. She stared right at the receiver, and Sticks Peterson looked her right in the eye, saw where she's going to throw, and jumped on the route for a great interception for Chicago.
An all fantasy-like coverage play by Laura Sticks Peterson. And with that play, Chicago takes possession back with a 19-6 lead, and this incredible interception by Peterson. Third quarter action here at the Target Center. Chicago with the ball back at their own 6-yard line, deep in their own territory. Inside handoff to Christelle Harris. Harris goes for about 5 up the middle, and now look for Chicago to just work that clock.
Valkyrie Harris, she is just bad to the bone, Mitch. There was nothing there. She carried the pile for 5 yards. Now this is what Minnesota's lacking. They don't have that kind of running back. This opens the field up for Heather Furr. 2nd and 5, you can run it again, play action, drop back in the pass. It opens up the whole offense. Minnesota doesn't have that. They need to get it, and Heather Furr does.
I'll tell you what, if I had one quarterback in this entire league, it would be one Miss Heather Furr. She's impressive. 2nd and 5 now. Furr looking for Dominique Collins, just overshoots her, of course. As I build her up, she overshoots the receiver.
That wasn't bad. There was nothing there. She didn't want to take the sack. She threw it short. Nobody was there. Let's go up, tee it up again. Now on 3rd down.
Can't get them all. I just like her command of this offense. She's been in it now for a couple years. As she said in the first quarter, she feels comfortable. She's got a great developing relationship with Coach Keith Hack. Certainly not where they wanted to be just yet, but a lot of potential for this offense. 3rd and 5 now. There's a little option play, pitch out to Harris. That's a fumble. That is fumble. That's a loose ball. Not sure who's recovered that.
They had a problem with that same play early in the year, Mitch, and here it again on the speed option. There's no separation, and she throws the ball. Harris has to drop back and have separation, and this could be huge for Minnesota. No separation at all. That's why the ball's fumbled.
I don't know why they don't bury this option play in a vault somewhere in Chicago. Turned it for 6.
They were in that game. The whole game they're in it until the fumbles on the speed option play.
Chicago did manage to retain possession, now 1st and 10. As Furr drops back, checks off to Melissa Olerking there. There's someone you don't see much used in this offense, and there's a little bit of attitude from Miss Olerking. And Olerking goes for about 6 yards on that one.
She is a classic Chicago-type tight end. Big, strong, doesn't take any crap from anybody. And Keith Hack, when you think the ball's going to go to Allie Alberts or Valkyrie Harris, comes up with a great call to Olerking. Wow.
Coach Hack definitely using his full suite of offensive options. 2nd and 4 now. Furr on a design draw play. Kicks it outside. There's an opening. She's down the sideline and still going. 22 yards inside the Minnesota 4. What a monster play by number 15.
How in the world did she turn the corner? She is a human highlight fan. There's no way she should have been around the link play pay in the whole entire Minnesota team. She turns the corner for a humongous game. What an athlete, Heather Furr.
You know, she has deceptive speed. Like you mentioned, she got around that outside corner with very little effort and just separated from the defense. That is something that you don't see Furr credited a lot for, is her speed.
This looks like a different Chicago team in the second half. League play pay is not the same defensive end she was in the first half, and Heather Furr has Chicago looking like a team that wants to go to the playoffs.
We are winding down the 3rd quarter here. We'll see if Chicago can get this playoff. Inside handoff to Alberts. Alberts making her way down all the way to the 1. Does she get in?
She might have got in. The ball came out, but I think she crossed the plane. That might have been a touchdown.
I think they're marking her down at the 1, and here's Chicago driving, set up by this Heather Furr 22-yard scamper down the field. There's a look at Leak Lepe as Chicago lines up, first and goal from the Minnesota 3. There's another handoff to Alberts. Alberts scores. Just that easy. That is Alberts' 3rd score of the night and puts Chicago up 25-6.
That wasn't the prettiest handoff I've ever seen, Mitch. It looked like almost a speed option. Watch, but she reaches out, just hands it to Allie Alberts. Whatever, it worked.
It counts for 6 points in the books. Nobody will remember how it happened. They'll just remember the score. 25-6 now, Chicago. There's the extra point attempt by Furr and met by a host of Minnesota Valkyrie. The extra point fails.
Just a great drive, though. Heather Furr, Chicago, all cylinders are clicking right now, Mitch. They look like a playoff team that can run with maybe, I'm not going to say yet, but all year long, Keith Hack says he wants to go back and go after LA and make a run at the championship. Right here in the second half, they're looking great.
I think Coach Chris Michelson and the team in the Pacific Northwest would argue that point.
I think you're right. Sorry about that, Coach Michelson.
And now Carrie Janes back. 1st and 10 from the 15, scrambling, trying to find something. There's absolutely nothing to do and just simply throws that one away with Yashi Rice all over her. Yashi wants to get after the quarterback.
Hey, I want a sack. I want a sack. I want a sack.
I love players that talk trash like Deion Sanders and then back it up. Yashi Rice, she said she wanted a sack, went out and sacked the QB. I love that, Mitch.
Janes did get that off, did not get the sack, but definitely a quarterback hurry, sometimes just as important. Now 2nd and 10 from the 15. Janes, designed quarterback keeper, takes it out. That's a good 11-yard carry all the way out to the Chicago 24. And there's a bit of that frustration setting in for both teams, mainly Minnesota, obviously. They do not like to be bullied around. That's the one thing about this roster. They're 0-2 coming into this game, but they're a proud 0-2. And despite the score, they're going to keep fighting.
Mitch, you brought it up, though. I know that was a design play again by Carrie Janes, but she has absolutely no help. How many times we said that? She made a great game, but there's no help. The secondary doesn't go back because she has no receivers that can threaten the safeties, and it's Carrie Janes or nothing.
That is exactly what's happening. Chicago's coming up to the line and daring them to throw him with the deep ball. James once again looking for anything down the field and throws that one out of bounds. Nowhere near a receiver. And Chantel Taylor and crew telling Carrie Janes a little bit about what the LFL is about.
Chantel Taylor and Yashi Rice, they're both starting to step up their game. They're all over James right now. They're teeing it up, pinning their ears back, and going after her.
There's Heather Furr, and you start to wonder now that we get inside of 5 minutes in the 4th quarter with this kind of a gap for Chicago, with no playoff ramifications on the line for them here. How long does a Heather Furr and Christelle Harris play in this one?
That's a great point. I mean, you don't want your key players to have any kind of injury here late in the game, especially your star players like Furr making a tackle right there. You don't want her to turn an ankle. If she's out, this team's going nowhere. Or if Ferrari Harris gets nicked up, Chicago also is going nowhere.
That was Maria Rye that went for about 8 yards up the middle. Rye certainly showing some potential. As Carrie Janes walks back up to the line, 3rd and 2 for Minnesota. The handoff goes to Stewart. Stewart up the middle, quick tackle. Stewart does manage 5 yards. Dina Fagiano up on the tackle. And there's Furr still chirping away. She's having fun.
Dina Fagiano. Coach Hack told us that this girl's got as much potential as anybody on his team, but she's still young. He thinks that she's going to become a star in this league.
Definitely a lot of contributors on this Chicago Bliss roster. 1st and 10 now. That did move the sticks for Minnesota. They're at the 11-yard line of Chicago, and there's Miss Janes trying to explode off that right edge, but just cannot get there as Laura Peterson comes up from the corner position.
Mitch, I hate to say this. I know there's only 340, but if somehow James can get this in the end zone, it becomes a two-score game. I never know. A little onside kick here and there, and they got a shot.
We all know this is a short field in the LFL, and anything can happen. 3:20 remaining in the fourth. 2nd and 5, Minnesota. Quick little pitch out to Katrina Stewart, and that is just it. You can see Katrina Stewart running upright. There's just no technique. They just simply do not have the talent. We don't want to keep beating a dead horse here throughout this game, but you just don't see the talent level on this roster.
And then on the other side, did you see number 10, Kim Perez, playing corner? She stands up the wide receiver, shimmies around, see where the rip back is going to go, and then makes a big stick on Katrina Stewart. Great play by Perez.
3rd and 2, Minnesota can get a first down inside the 1. Cannot get there. Maria Rye stopped right at the line of scrimmage by Dina Fagiano.
There's just no deception. There's no real offensive scheme that scares the Chicago defense.
And there's a look at Kerry James, who wants the timeout to think about this crucial 4th and 2. There's Allie Alberts, who took Chicago in the lead 25-6.
Jim, let's go! Look at the fucking play clock! Hey! Full house left, 21 lead. Full house left, 21 lead. On 1, ready? Good shit. See that? See that? Good. See that? That's how it works. Good shit, Tina. Hey, you should block me here and not in my face, dumbass.
A colorful Heather Furr just loves the game. As we return to action, it is 4th and 2 for Minnesota from the Chicago 3. Big play here. Direct snap, Kerry James tries to get it on the outside. Does she get it in? They're going to give her a score there. 3-yard touchdown run by the rookie quarterback.
Sensational play by Kerry James. How in the world did she get in, Mitch? She got hit right there, 5 yards deep. She gets hit again on the outside. Somehow her knee does not go down. The ball crosses the plane, and they're back in the ball game. Onside kick? Who knows?
Great play by the rookie to have the presence of mind to extend the ball before her knee hit. Great score by Kerry James. And there's the challenge flag by Coach Hack. He obviously does not think James got in.
Let's watch real close here, Mitch. Not down, not down. The ball's out. The knee's still up. Crosses. That's a touchdown.
There's a better look. As you can see, the knee was still up while the ball crossed the plane. That is clearly a touchdown. We'll wait the officials' call here, but that should stand. Minnesota should get 6 on that.
You can't blame Coach Hack for trying.
After review, it is a touchdown.
And there it is. Once again, this doesn't have playoff ramifications, but tell that to Coach Hack.
Coach Hack is not smiling right now. Minnesota, if they get this extra point and they got the onside kick, they're back in the game, Mitch.
Absolutely, and here is that extra point. Kerry James lining up from the 1, fumbled the snap, and just could not recover. It has been that kind of night for Minnesota. Little brief glimpses of what could be in the future, but then ultimately you have to deal with what you have today.
No, exactly right. You can't fumble the snap in that situation right there, but they're still in the game. Coach Minetto, you can see him right there. He's still intense. Somehow they got to recover this kick.
That will take us to the 2-minute warning. Back after this. Next week, we have Christy Bell and the Philadelphia Passion traveling to Cleveland to take on Teresa Petrozzullo and the Cleveland Crush. Next week on LFL Saturday Night Football. Minnesota lining up for the onside kick. This is a 2-score game. Get this recovery and give yourself a chance.
They got the hands team in, Mitch.
Absolutely. Kerry James is back. Going to do a squib kick. Sails on her quite a bit. And Chicago will take over on downs there. They will take over from their own 19 and more or less run this clock out. It has been that kind of season from Coach Menendez.
As good as James has played tonight, Mitch, that onside kick was not good at all. You have to bounce it a couple times on the ground. squib it, make it bounce around a little bit. She kicked it all over everybody's head.
Added to the list of off-season activity, Bobby Huco. 1st and 10. Chicago inside handoff. Christelle Harris. Harris goes for about 3 yards on that play.
They might just give it to Harris the rest of the game, run the clock out. What do you think, Mitch?
I would not have Harris in this game at this stage. You've got some young rookies in there. Give them the time. Get your veterans out. Get ready for Green Bay in a couple of weeks.
Sounds like she's going to pass the ball. Did you hear that call?
Absolutely. I'm a little baffled that she's even in this game, much less that now they're throwing the ball. Fur back, indeed, looking for Allie Alberts there. And it looks like there might be a penalty flag on that play.
Mitch, I'm a little confused right here. If you run the ball, you're going to run the clock out. These passes and a penalty now, it stops it. Minnesota could get back in the game.
Number 16 on the offense. The penalty is declined. 3rd down.
Yeah, Minnesota's declining that penalty for some reason. I guess hoping to get the ball back. Now Chicago faces a 3rd and 7 from their own 19. You've got to wonder why Coach Hack is not taking a knee here or just running out the clock with a backup running back.
Do you think they're trying to rub it in a little bit, Mitch, after those Katrina Stewart punches early in the game?
You hope not. These are two division foes. They're going to see each other again. You hope that's not what they're doing here.
But look, here's the problem. Look, players are going to get hurt. Heather Furr, the starting quarterback, takes a huge hit right there by leak play, but she's in the game, but you don't want to risk losing your quarterback this late in the ball game.
Not to mention now it's 4th and 7. You're on your side of the field, and there's an incomplete pass to Allie Alberts. Turnover on downs with Minnesota taking possession.
That might have been the worst series at the end of a game I've ever seen. This game should be over, but Minnesota's got the ball. If they score here, there could be another onside kick.
Great close friend of mine, Coach Hack, but that is a head scratcher. Not sure what the strategy there was. Carrie Janes and company back at work. 1st and 10 from the Chicago 19-yard line. Janes looking in the end zone now, taking off with the ball. She's done most of the night. Scrambles for about 5 yards inside the Chicago 14. Now hurry up offense for Janes and company. She'll look to stop the clock here. And does at the Chicago 19.
Mitch, you can tell that Minnesota hasn't had a lot of practice running a 2-minute drill. Carrie Janes, this is actually good practice for her right now, but if they can score right now, I'd like to see another onside kick and see what happens.
The ultimate optimist, Bobby Huco. But I do get your point about giving this rookie quarterback a few reps here in a crucial position. 2nd and 10 now from the 19 again. There's a run by Dominique Schuler, but a gain of only 2 yards as the clock continues to run here as the game's coming to an end. 3rd and 8 now. Not sure why Minnesota continues to huddle as the clock is cut, counting down from the Chicago 17. This might be the last play of the game. And there's Dominique Schuler being held up with 4 yards as the clock winds down. And Bobby, where do these two teams go from here?
For Minnesota, they have to build this team around their sensational rookie quarterback, Carrie Janes. They need a lot of help around her. They need running backs and receivers, but they have a lot of potential. For Chicago, a little sloppy at the end, but they accomplished their goal. They have a huge game coming up to try to make the playoff against Annie Erler and the Green Bay Chill.
Definitely a rough night for the rookie phenom, Carrie Janes and company. They'll be back in a couple weeks versus Los Angeles. But tonight, it was all Chicago. Whether it was Christelle Ferrari-Harris, Heather Furr, or the emerging rookie Allie Alberts. Chicago wins this one 25-12. For Bobby Huco, this is Mitch Mortaza, thanking our director, Patrick Brulig, and producer, Gino Payne. We will see you next week at the Q Arena in Cleveland.